Today, we're going the distance.
Let's unpack the magic.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
And welcome to another episode of the Team Unicorn Podcast. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Tyler. And today we're going to be bringing you the third episode in our Dig a Little Deeper series. And today we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite movies, Hercules.
Hercules, yes.
It kind of plays into like our childhood. Like this movie came out when we were, kids. Like we grew up in the Renaissance era. And I know like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin get a lot of credit. And Aladdin was a big movie when I was growing up. But looking back and like just looking at all the movies, I feel like Hercules is like the best Renaissance movie in my opinion.
Yeah, and I feel like it's gotten a lot more love from us as we've gotten older.
Yeah.
Like I do remember watching it quite a bit when we were growing up. But I don't think I appreciated it as much.
Yeah, and this movie, particularly, like you said, now growing up and appreciating a lot more when we're older, has meant quite a bit for me in my mental health. It helped me a lot with some mental health struggles. So I feel like this was only appropriate for us to take some time and kind of devote an episode to this movie, this great movie, and dig a little deeper into it.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess just looking at the movie in general, do you have like a favorite character or favorite characters?
I really love the Muses. I know they're characters. But yeah, I don't know. I love the soundtrack and they like really carry it throughout the movie. But yeah, like I really like them and I think they just add like a little bit of humor and like I love like their dress color changes, like especially when I was younger, like I always thought that was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. And then I do really like Hercules. I like the journey that he goes on and finding out what the true definition of a hero. So yeah. I mean, what about you?
I think Hades is one of the best villains of all time.
Yeah.
I think he is just so quick-witted and just sharp-tongued, and I think that he's just like he's a typical Disney villain, but like he's not, just because like I feel like he's got like that kind of like snake oily salesman type of pitch. I'm kind of like Dr. Facilier.
Yeah.
But he's not someone like Maleficent where, she's just kind of like, kind of I'm above everybody else and like I'm using my my platform or her presence is like her villainous. Like with Hades, it's definitely like he's going to like finagle his way.
Yeah, well, and like Maleficent, I feel like she's just so serious. Like she's just very serious, and Hades, like he's kind of funny. Like he has some good jokes and like one-liners and stuff. Yeah, so I think he makes a great villain. And like we've said before, like villains tend to be like green, and he's blue.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of strays away from that a little bit, which makes him a little different. So.
Yeah, and I kind of like getting ready and prepared for this episode. I had heard that James Woods, the actor who plays Hades, like he ad-libbed a lot of his lines. Like he went off scripts, especially when it came to like his interactions with Meg. Like a lot of that, like my sweet nutmeg, like all that was like kind of just like ad-libbed because he was just kind of going for it. And like that makes me like really appreciate like his presence as a villain, because it's you don't know what you're getting with Hades. Like it could be like very strategic, it could be very funny, it could be very like angry, and it could flip from second to second here. And then obviously Herc, he's my favorite. We'll get into him when we talk about that hero's journey in a little bit.
Yeah.
And Pegasus is so fun.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. And baby, like Pegasus and Hercules, like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. I love them.
We did recently watch the movie and just kind of picked up again on some of our favorite Easter eggs or references or scenes. Are there any that kind of stand out to you that you just especially find funny?
Yeah, when Pain and Panic are the two little kids like trapped by the big boulder rock thing, and they're like, someone call IXII. And like as a kid, like I never like that went way over my head. But like now, like knowing what Roman numerals are, like 911, like I thought that was really funny.
I think there's a couple really fun things with Pain and Panic. Something in if you don't know anything about the Greek mythology or the stories behind these characters, you don't really know that Disney strayed quite a bit away from the source material.
Quite a bit, which I think they just tended to do, like especially during that era, to make things more kid friendly.
Yeah.
And I think especially like with this movie too, because I know like I think Hunchback had come out before this, and that was like pretty dark,
right.
And I don't know what the other one was, but there's a couple like darker movies, so I think they really wanted this one to be like more lighthearted and funny.
Yeah, so there's a scene where Hades tells Pain and Panic like, hey, you need to like make this kid mortal, baby Hercules mortal, and then you can kill him. And they go down to Earth, and they portray themselves as two snakes, and Hercules just beats them up as snakes. In like the actual like mythology, Hera, the mom, is not like she's mad at Zeus. She's mad at Zeus for having like Hercules with somebody else. And she wants to kill Hercules, and she sends snakes down from Olympus to kill Hercules.
Yeah.
So just the fact that they kind of like kept the same idea, but it was Hades and his henchmen going down to snakes. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yes.
I just Pain and Panic are just so fun in general.
Oh yeah, like especially when they're like in like their Hercules gear, like
oh yeah, and then I don't remember if it's Pain or Panic because I never remember the two.
Yeah.
Panic is the blue one, Pain is the red one.
Okay.
Because Panic, because he's kind of like full of anxiety. So yeah, that makes sense. And he's drinking like his like Gatorade or the Herculate or whatever. And then Pain has on some merchandise.
Yeah, his air hurts.
And Hades is like, what are those?
Which I appreciate so much more now. I just love it.
I think it's super funny when we watch, kind of side note, when we watch Black Panther.
Yeah.
And they have that kind of joke in there. I think of Pain and Panic in that scene with Hades. Like, what are those?
I love that.
Any other fun parts in the movie?
I do like when the Muses, like they're like bus. And that's kind of like a nod to the Haunted Mansion bus. So I do like that kind of.
Yeah, because even the one is like her head is like off pedestal, and she's kind of holding it, and it's off to the side.
Side by side, or like one on top of the other. Like it's pretty similar to the Haunted Mansion ones.
I really like when it's at the same boulder scene when the Hydra serpent or whatever it is, Hercules has to face that one.
Yep.
And Hercules looks like he's about to win. He's just cut the heads off, and Hades like, relax, it's only halftime. And I know a lot of people know this, this Easter egg or this, kind of fun tidbit, but that's at minute 46 of a 92-minute movie. So it's like right at the halfway point of the movie, which I think is like I don't know if they planned it that way or if it just kind of happened, or if that was something that they kind of realized halfway through and they were like, needed James Woods to come on in and ad-lib something for that. But I think that was really, that's just a really clever thing to sneak into the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And then something I noticed when we were watching it last time, during the Zero to Hero scene, or the song, Hercules and Pegasus are like out front, like of somewhere, and they're putting their handprints and their hooves in some cement.
Oh, yep.
And like I understood the reference to that.
Yeah.
For the reference was the Chinese theater out in Hollywood. They had, for the longest time, celebrities would go out there and get their handprints molded in cement. But in the cement, it actually says to Sid, which is Sid Grauman is the owner of the Chinese theater. And I never like noticed that when I had watched it, that it actually says to Sid. from Herc or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. Like, yeah, you're putting in that reference, but then like, you know, you're actually making it like legit. Like, oh, it's like, it's to Sid.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that because in Hollywood studios, they have the Chinese theater and they have like their own like handprints and stuff out there. So
and we've actually been to Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. We got
Yeah.
to experience that on our trip back out in March. When we went to Disneyland, we took a day to go to see downtown Hollywood and do some sightseeing out there. And that was really cool because you'd see like a lot of the, like you'd see like Debbie Reynolds and you saw Carrie Fisher and you saw, you know, a lot of other ones. And then like my biggest achievement of seeing another was getting a picture by the Avengers.
Yep. Yeah, like they had like their whole huge square to themselves. Yeah,
they had
was
all
really
the
cool.
original Avengers, and then Kevin Feige was in there, so that was really, really cool to actually be there and see that actual part of history, and then now seeing in Hercules kind of pay tributes to that.
Yeah, it's just so cool because it's just like a whole big circle, and like there's just a bunch of history, like, you know, with Disney. You know, there were Disney movies that premiered there. I think Mary Poppins was that there?
Yep, Mary Poppins was there.
Yeah, so I'm not sure which other ones, but I know there was other.
There was
like,
quite a bit of, like, especially like the animated movies that were there. So, that was a really cool part of seeing history, and then kind of seeing like this movie based on history kind of represent that as well.
Yeah. I love it. I love the Easter eggs.
So we've talked quite a bit about, or we're gonna talk quite a bit about Hercules and what it kind of takes in his journey to become that true hero. He's gone from zero to hero, and what does that journey mean for him?
Yeah, like I love his character because obviously, like, he was born with strength, so he's had it his whole life, but like he wanted to be like this like normal person.
He just wanted to be like everybody else.
You know, and you can see that in the beginning of the movie, like, you know, when they're, I don't know what game they're playing, you know, and he just, you know, wants to kind of play with them, but then like the guys are just like, oh no, like you're not playing with us, like,
and I never
like,
understood like the animosity towards Hercules in that situation, because like I obviously, like, people know who Hercules is and they kind of see him like being kind of like clumsy or whatever, but then like the one kid's like good going Jercules, or like is calling him names. I'm like, like, he's not like, Hercules isn't never like a jerk to anybody. He's like truly like an honestly good person throughout the entire film. Like, I don't ever see that there's one bit of like cockiness to Herc at all about it. Like, he understands, like, towards the end of the movie, like, you know, he's got these powers and everyone loves him, but he's never, I don't ever feel like he's super cocky about it. For like, so then these kids, like when Hercules is younger and he's like not even achieved that level of fame, and they're calling him like names like Jercules, and I'm like, he's never been a jerk to you. Like, you guys are the ones being a jerk to him.
And I don't understand that, but I guess I'm assuming it's just because he's like clumsy and awkward. He doesn't really know like how to like control like his strength. But kind of like, he kind of reminds me of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, like specifically like with Tom Holland. You know, like, I mean, I know he didn't grow up with his powers, but like he was like, well, I got these powers one day and I couldn't, like, you know, go and try out for like the football team or like show them off to people. So he tried to be like a normal person, like with these like powers and stuff.
Right.
So I kind of like, it just kind of reminds me of that. Like, with Hercules.
That's a really good comparison. You know, and then just him and Peter having to like kind of grow up learning how to adapt to these powers as well.
And still try to be like, quote unquote normal, or like try to fit in. But and then obviously Hercules doesn't, because everyone just hates him, I think, just because he's awkward and clumsy and you know, can't really control it. And
Herc, like, he truly wants to do good with these powers. Like, he understands, like, he's very strong, so like he's helping his you know, his adoptive father out, or he's trying to help, you know, the guy with the vases, the vases in the town square. Like, he's trying to help him out, so he's actively trying to put his powers to good use. It's just no one's giving him the time of day because he is kind of clumsy with it. And that's really unfortunate. And I think that's just one of the things that you just like, you feel, you really feel for him, like, especially in the beginning, and like you can't help but root for him, like, on this whole journey that he
he goes on, you know, with trying to be a hero. Like once he learns that he, you know, was, you know, Zeus is his father, and like he's
Yeah.
born from gods, and
I think like it really does take him a while to not understand that. Like I think at the beginning he's trying to do a good job, but he realizes like, hey, I have these powers. So once he realizes he's a guide after talking to Zeus in the temple, you know, and he's told like, hey, go to Phil and train with Phil. Like at that point, he understands like, I need to do more with these powers. I need to do more. I need to help more people. I need to
yeah,
like expand my reach with what I can do here. And I really need to hone in on like not being so awkward with it.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like that whole process he really comes through and understands that like he can be whatever people need him to be as long as he believes he can do it.
mm-hmm.
Because I feel like especially when he was younger, like he wanted to be helpful, but he always second guessed himself. He always was just like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm just so clumsy, or like, oh, I just, you know, I always screw things up. But like after training with Phil and becoming like super strong, becoming like the Hercules that we know throughout the majority of the movie, like at that point, he's very comfortable with himself, and he's very much like, I understand like what I'm
yeah.
meant to be now.
Well, yeah, and I think so, like in the beginning, like before he goes and trains, like he always had the good heart. Like he was always that good person. Like, but he just didn't know how to like control his strength or like use it to like, I guess, like the best of his ability, and like
Mm-hmm.
really hone in on that. So I think like once he goes to train and he really like hones in on that, I think he, not that he forgets his heart, but I think it, you know, him just using his strength and really like learning how to control it and like beating all these monsters and like getting all the fame and stuff. Um, you know,
There's definitely
there's
there's definitely a little switch where he's
he,
just like, I've defeated all these people. Like I'm
yeah.
going out and I'm defeating all these monsters, which I thought was kind of cool. If kind of side note here, like the monsters that he faces in like the Zero to Hero are like the 12 labors of Hercules. So like if you like going back to like the Greek mythology of it, like the boar, or like there's like a bat, or like a winged monster,
Mhm.
or like some sort of like wild dog or whatever. Like those are part of the 12 stages of Hercules becoming Hercules, which I thought was really cool that,
Yeah.
that they kind of threw all those like just random monsters in there, but like they actually mean something. Or
Yeah.
like the three-headed dog, or the Hydra monster.
Yeah.
Like those are all part of those stages that they, kind of shoot in there in a
Yeah.
really awesome way. But like, I mean, at one point he's just like, I've defeated all these guys. Like I am the hero. Like, and then Zeus is like, well, you haven't quite earned it yet.
Yeah. And so he's just trying to find that missing piece. And I think that's where he needs to go back to like his roots and like his good heart and like, um, you know, and that's where I think he obviously finds himself once his powers are stripped away. Like he's still that good person, and like he still wants to fight the good fight, even though he's not like, he doesn't have like a super strength, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, he still has his heart to,
Because
kind of guide him.
he definitely, not only does he use his heart to like, he realizes like, I don't have my strength, but I still need to do something. So
Yeah.
when he faces off with Cyclops, like he's using his brain instead of his muscles, like to
Mhm.
defeat Cyclops. So he's kind of doing like the Star Wars AT-AT, kind of, wire around the base of the legs, and then taking a kind of page from the Odyssey and taking the fire from, and then putting the flame into the Cyclops' eye, which I thought was
Yeah.
really cool. But then not only that, but then he's fighting for Meg too. So he's
Right.
he's fighting with his heart and not with his muscles.
Yeah.
Which I just think, then obviously, after he goes down into the the river of the unknown
Yeah.
to get Meg's soul out of there, like there's that turning point where he does become immortal because he's finally using his heart to win
Right.
a battle.
He has the balance, because he has the muscle and the heart and the brains to
Yep.
bring everything together in like perfect
Mhm.
balance. So, and again, it reminds me of Spider-Man, because he gets his suit taken away, and
Yeah, he does.
Tony says like, well, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve it, blah blah blah.
And Peter has to fight his way to prove that he is more than just his suit.
So is like Spooderman like secretly Hercules? I don't know.
That's a really good point because like, and at the end, like Spider-Man is seemingly like he's crushed underneath in the first Tom Holland Spider movie. He's crushed underneath the weight of the building, and he has to use like his own inner strength, not the strength of the Spider-Man suit, not anything else to like overcome that weight that's been put on him to go off and win. That's such a really, I never thought about that before.
I don't know. I just like my brain was just making that connection to Spider-Man, and I'm like, there's a lot there, I think. So it kind of works.
It does. I keep thinking about it. Like the more comparisons I'm seeing between like Spider-Man, especially Tom Holland Spider-Man and Hercules, it's like it's really crazy.
I think that's really cool. So, and I don't know if they like did that. I don't know if they know that they did that like with the Spider-Man movies.
But it makes total sense now.
Yeah, for sure.
One of I think the best parts of this movie in general, and I think one of the best songs in Disney canon history is Go to the Distance.
Oh yeah.
I absolutely love this song. It really kind of takes you through Herc's journey throughout the entire film. And it's such an inspirational song.
It really is. And they like, and it just means so much to us because obviously like this movie, like, you know, it really hits home with you and like, and I really enjoy it too. But then they use like Go the Distance and like the Disney fireworks shows, like Happily Ever After and Harmonious. And like, they just, it just makes me like, every time, like when that song comes on, like that's the moment, like I'm just like losing it.
Yeah, you know? It's such an inspirational song. It's such a powerful song. Like I literally cry like every time I hear it in Happily Ever After or Harmonious because it gets me so emotional because like I really feel like Hercules is a character that you can look up to. Hercules is a character that you can like confide in and seek comfort in, and just that song itself, just like going from like it kind of reminds me a little bit of Elsa's song in Frozen 2, not the Into the Unknown, but the other song.
Oh,
Show Yourself.
Yeah, Show Yourself.
Like those two songs really hit me the same way because it's like I know in my bones that I've been meant for something more, and I don't know what I need to do, but I will do whatever it takes to get to that final point. I will go the distance to become that hero that everyone wants me to be, that I believe that I can be, and that way I can finally feel that acceptance. And I feel like that's the same way in Elsa's Show Yourself.
Yeah well, and I think that that also ties in with comfort movies and mental health. Like I think that song like really like defines what you're feeling and like what you're getting out of watching this movie to like help you cope.
So this I haven't been shy about saying that I obviously have been dealing with, especially within the last year and a half or 2 years after COVID hit, like I had been dealing with a lot of like mental health issues and just dealing with a lot of like anxiety and depression. And this was my first movie, my go-to movie that I went to after like it was just a day that like I literally just had like a breakdown. And this is the movie that I watched, and seeing Hercules like overcome all of his demons, or overcoming anything that was thrown in his way to become that hero. It's a very inspirational story, and I feel like even before that instance happened with that breakdown, like I always turned and looked at Hercules, especially with that song Go the Distance, as something that it's very inspirational. I can achieve whatever I feel like I need to in that moment because of that. Because of that song. And so this was my first the movie I went to, and I watched it quite a bit throughout the last couple of years, and it has become my comfort movie. Like I know a lot of people talk about like what's their go-to comfort movie, or a lot of people watch like the same thing on Disney Plus.
Yeah, or like
or all
comfort
the
shows and stuff. Yeah.
and like this is one that is my comfort movie. This is one that I go to and I really enjoy because it means a lot to me, because I really like identify with Hercules and like kind of his struggles.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate this movie because it has helped. And not to mention Go the Distance is such like an awesome workout song.
Yes.
Like the whole music in this album is just really good for like working out. So like that, it really gets me pumped. If I haven't worked out in a while, or like I'm feeling bad about like my self image, like I'll listen to Hercules and like the soundtrack, and like that really gets me going because it's such a good soundtrack, and the music is so awesome. But I just really am thankful that I have this comfort movie to fall back on, because this, it does make me legitimately happy. So if I'm having like a down day, or like if I'm dealing with just like a lot of like anxiety or something, like I can go to this music, or I can go to this movie and watch it, and just make me feel better.
Yeah.
I guess looking into like this movie and the music, how much it means to me, like
Yeah.
like how do you like, what does this movie, or what does this music mean to you?
It really means a lot. Like the soundtrack to like the whole movie is just, it's so good. And especially like talking about, Go the Distance, like it just, I guess going off like what you said, like I think you just can't help but feel like uplifted, and like you can like do anything, and like you can do hard things, and you'll be okay in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that message from that song. And yeah, so I just like, and I think I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. But just the soundtrack in general, like I know you're talking about like workout songs, like Zero to Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's another really good one. I really like the Ariana Grande version of it. They did like some Disney
Yeah. Like remixes or covers.
Yep, of it, and she does a really good version
Mm-hmm.
of that. But yeah, I don't know, I just like from the very beginning of the movie, like it just, it's like a song, and like the muses just kind of carry it, like because like they're telling the story, but it's kind of through song. And
Well, especially like at the beginning of the movie, like they have like this narrator, and he's just like, so ever long ago, blah, blah. And then the music's like, no, honey,
yeah,
like, we got this from here. Like they really set the pace and the tone for the movie, because as murky or as depressing as parts of it can be, especially like when Hades comes around, like they're still there to like really like make it flow and make it consistent, and at least give if not a positive spin, just a just like a unique tone to the movie, which I think is really
because
fun.
when I was reading, well, first of all, the music's done by Alan Menken.
Yeah, incredible.
Like I don't think he can do, like I don't think he does a bad job on anything, and like that's literally our childhood, like Alan Menken. But I know they were talking, or when we were doing some research for this episode, I had read I don't know who it was, but they kind of wanted like a gospel tone to this, and you can really see that coming out in the
100%.
music, and it works so well. And yeah, I would argue like this is probably like, I don't know, like if we had to do like a rating, it'd probably be like top 5 soundtracks
100% for me.
Yeah, like the music is just so good. Like I love it.
Kind of going back onto like the muses and like wanting that gospel. Something that I learned doing this, a little bit of research for this episode, is that the Spice Girls were originally
you told me that, and I had no idea that they were originally thought of
considered for the role of the muses.
Yeah.
This movie came out in like 95 or 96,
97
or 97. Yeah. So like the Spice Girls were huge at that time, and it would, I don't think like it would be as good if it was a Spice. Nothing against the Spice Girls. I do like the Spice Girls. I do like their music. But I don't think that it would have done nearly as well, like coming over, like the muses would have like, hit as well as it did had it not That's trio kind of like gospel-y,
Yep.
a little bit of jazzy, soulfulness in it.
Well, and you were also telling me Go the Distance was nominated for best song at the Oscars?
And Golden Globes, which you'd think, because it's such a huge song, like there's no way that this song isn't going to win it.
Right. But you're like, well, what other movie was out in 1997?
That's Celine Dion and that penny whistle solo. Yeah, this song actually lost to My Heart Will Go On. And that's kind of depressing because I really enjoy this song wholeheartedly way more than
like than as much as I enjoy Titanic, I would definitely pick this song.
And I don't think this movie did good, don't get me wrong, and especially for like a 90s movie and well, but I don't think going up around the same kind of year buffer zone of like Titanic or some of these other bigger movies, like it was just probably difficult for it to like really find its footing. So I feel like in part of the Renaissance, it might not be one of the movies that like did the best like in the box office, but like it got really good reviews. I really love this movie. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I think it's one of the, if not the best Disney Renaissance movie in my opinion. But it had some tough competition that's made it a little bit difficult to get that star to shine a little brighter than I think maybe it got.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess speaking of like the music and soundtrack, the Muses and all of that, they are currently doing a live action remake of this movie.
I'm very excited for this, and I'm very excited, but like there's not a whole lot of specifics out on it yet.
No, like there's very little other than they're doing it. So
it's going to be directed by Agbo Films, which is the company that Joe and Anthony Russo created. And if you don't know who they are the ones that created, or that
you don't know who they are.
I'm just throwing this out there. If you don't know who they are the directors behind Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. They did Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Civil War. We know them from Marvel. They are incredible.
Yes.
I'm very excited to see wherever they decide to take this one, but they're on the producing end of things. The movie is going to be directed by Guy Ritchie, who did the live action Aladdin movie, which we both really enjoyed.
I really enjoyed that.
I just feel like the live action ones just kind of get a bad rep because they're always comparing them to like the original animated films, which they're live action for a reason.
Yeah.
I do think in general Disney has done a very awesome job at their live action remakes. I don't really have one that I think, the one that I like kind of like I didn't like personally the most was just The Lion King. Yeah. But that was just because like it was just too hyper realistic.
Yeah, like I wish like that's probably my least favorite too, and I think it needed I know it's live action, but I think it still needed just like a touch of like animation like in their face or like their eyes or something. Like it was just it was too real. Because like I don't know.
we've seen it in the Lady and the Tramp live action. That one worked really well for me. I really loved that version of it, and it's because like there's like actual human actors like in human actor form, and then there's like the dogs. So like you kind of have like a balance of like it's not just all animals, but you also have human interacting with them. So like I think that really works well. I don't think that really worked well in the case of The Lion King because it was all animals and they were going for hyper realistic.
Right.
Obviously it did well. It's done phenomenally. They're going to be making a second one, the prequel one with for Mufasa. But it was one that it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. It's just out of all the live action ones, I probably wouldn't go back to that one first. I'd probably go like with Beauty and the Beast or Lady and the Tramp, or even like Cruella was really, really good.
That was super good. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy the live action, so I'm very excited for this new Hercules one. And like we said, we don't know a lot about it, so I don't know. We don't know casting or plot. Like, is it going to be like kind of similar to the animated version, or is it going to take off like on it like a different like Hercules journey? Right.
Or I've heard from just the kind of the research to seeing like what we all know on it is that it's going to be Hercules, but with a modern twist. And I don't know if that means like it's going to be set in modern times or if it's going to be like still like kind of in that same time period, but just kind of updated like Aladdin. Like it didn't happen in like a different, it didn't happen in modern times, but it was just like a modern like facelift to the story. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how this goes. Like I said, we really liked Aladdin, and Guy Ritchie directed that one. So we'll be patiently waiting to see what happens on this one. And I've been impatiently waiting to see who they cast in this movie.
Yes, so we kind of did our own casting.
Yes, we took it upon ourselves.
To come up with some ideas for like the main characters like throughout the film.
Yeah. So we're just gonna go through them all and just kind of say who we thought might be a good reason or are a good actor or actress for the role, and maybe some reasons behind it, and hopefully maybe one of our predictions comes true.
We'll see. So starting off with Hercules and going on the Spider-Man journey, we thought maybe Tom Holland would be a good Hercules.
And obviously he's we've talked about the similarities that we feel between her and Spidey, but Tom is an incredibly talented singer and actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on he's done Broadway shows.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has a musical theater background. So I think that would work really well for him.
Yeah, and then one that I read that I was kind of like, okay, this works, but it'd be really weird if it does work. Was Daniel Radcliffe.
I think this would be super interesting. And again, he does have a theater background because I know he did that. He had a show on Broadway.
Yep.
So that could work.
I think that this would be another good opportunity for him to kind of say like, I'm not Harry Potter anymore. Because it's weird thinking about him because like all I think about is Harry Potter, but like he's also playing Weird Al Yankovic in the new movie later this year, which I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited to see him play Weird Al. So I think like I don't know how well his his singing chops would be kind of with the music here, but I think this could be one of those really like hidden gems of a casting that could really turn some heads, and I'd be excited to see Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, I would too. I'm here for that. So I think that could be fun.
So then I guess going opposite of Hercules, who would be playing Meg?
Well, if you have Tom Holland, then you need Zendaya, right?
Of course.
So that's one of the people that we have picked for Meg. I think she would be really good.
I do too.
I really like Zendaya, and I think she would just bring that I don't know, like Meg is kind of like, she's kind of sassy and like, but like she doesn't really care what other people think, and I think
that's totally
Zendaya. Yeah. So I think that could work really well.
And not that you have to like throw diversity into any of these roles, but I do feel like the way that Disney has been casting roles, they've been casting characters they've been casting actors or actresses for the roles who are best fitted for that role, regardless of like race or skin color or background on that. So I think like this might kind of fit into that casting. Zendaya, she's not that like pale Grecian goddess that you are kind of expecting to see with Meg, but like everything else personality wise fits so in line with her.
I think she would rock it. So yeah, and hopefully Disney continues to do that. And I don't know, like with these, like, Hercules and Meg, like, do they bring like maybe some unknown people in to play them, or?
I'd be okay with that too. Because I mean, that's how these, we've had other actors and actresses come into like these big Marvel films or these big, Disney films that are unknown, and like they get their time to shine.
Yeah.
So I'd be okay with that. You had mentioned when we were talking about the music of the film that Ariana Grande did a really awesome version of some Hercules songs.
Yeah.
And I think that she is probably like a lot of people's like kind of go-to.
Yeah,
Meg.
I think she's like the go-to Meg. So
she's got that sass. She's got a really incredible voice.
Yeah.
She just, with her hair, she had that pony going for like the longest time. Like she just kind of looks like Meg.
Yeah.
It all makes sense, and I think that she would make a perfect Meg as well. But I think that we would push for Zendaya in this case because I think
Yeah.
Ariana Grande, if she doesn't get casted here, she could be cast somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah, she could be.
So let's go to Hades, the big villain in the movie here. I thought of who was a good villain that we've already seen before.
Yeah.
And my mind immediately went to Josh Brolin.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
It would be a different take on Hades. I don't think it would be quite as snarky and witty, although it can be. He did have some funny moments as Cable in Deadpool 2, but I do think that Josh Brolin would just make a very menacing.
Yeah, he would bring the more serious like role, I think, to Hades. So I guess going opposite that, like if you want to bring like some fun, like snarky,
yeah, RDJ,
yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. I feel is the perfect complement to the original Hades character. He is just so quick-witted. He's just got those one-liners ready to go. I think that he is more like Hades than I think any other actor could be.
I think so too, because like Hades, like he has like his like really villainous like anger kind of moments, but for the most part, like he's just, I don't know, like he's very like snarky and witty and like I don't know, like yeah. So I think Robert Downey Jr. could probably
he could fill that role really
flair. Well. Yeah.
So if we have Hades, then we're gonna have to have the henchman. We have to have Pain and Panic.
Yes.
We've got some really fun ideas here for Pain and Panic. What do you got? You got some really good ones.
Yeah. So like I had come up with Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake. Just because,
way out of ball.
Like I don't know. I think just because they're so funny together. I don't know. And they can sing. Maybe Pain and Panic get like a singing number.
It'd be really funny if they had like a really like a Broadway style song.
Yeah.
Just the two, like almost like the producers-esque type of song, just the two of them. And then all of a sudden like the stage goes up behind them and then they're back in like the movie and Hades is just like, what the hell are you guys doing? Yeah. Like, go get to work, go kill her.
Yeah.
And then you had another really, really fun one.
Yeah. So my other one was Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
Which I can't believe that I didn't think of that first. I love Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. I love Step Brothers and Talladega Nights. And those are just some of my favorite movies. Those were like movies I watched throughout high school. Like they're just so stupidly funny. I absolutely love them. And like it would make total sense for these two.
Yes. Yeah. I think they would be almost perfect for Pain and Panic.
I've seen a lot of fan casting go with Nick Kroll or Andy Samberg with John Mulaney. I think Nick Kroll would be hilarious in this in this role. Either those two they bounce off one another so well, and I think like just having them kind of almost like critique each other would be really, really fun. And then kind of an off-brand one that I thought might work really, really well would be Jake Johnson and Lamorne Morris from New Girl.
Yeah.
I think that those two, they just have like a really dry, kind of like unintelligent type of humor.
Which I think would work for Pain and Panic.
So I think that would be really, really fun to see those two, Nick and Bishop, just be Pain and Panic.
Yeah, that would be fun. So
I think the next casting is going to come as no surprise to anybody because I don't think that you can recast this character.
Yeah, like Phil, Danny DeVito. It's
gotta be Danny DeVito.
You have to. Like, there's no way you don't.
Something that I noticed with the last couple times watching, because I know the last time we watched it, like I was specific, like I need. Our Alexa just went off. That was weird. Something I noticed a lot more this last time we watched it because we were specifically like researching, or in my mind I was kind of researching more for this. Danny DeVito says a lot of 2 words or 3 words, but he says it like a lot, like 5 or 6 times. He says like 2 words, I am retired or something like that. And I know a lot of people know this one, but it's like in Grecian or in Greek, I am retired is just 2
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
So I thought it was something, but he says that quite a bit. He says like 3 words or 2 words. And I'm just like, because he says it like 3 times in like his song, which is weird enough to have Danny DeVito singing like a show tune song,
Yeah.
but then like him as like, you know, a satyr, like it's really funny.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Danny DeVito.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's no question about that.
Another one that we thought was a no-brainer was who we'd want to play Pegasus.
Oh yeah, Alan Tudyk. Like,
yeah, he can do everything. It would make sense. He's got the voice. If he can do the chicken in Moana, he can do Pegasus.
Yeah,
sure.
I think so too.
Who do we got next here?
So next up is Zeus.
Okay.
So I think the obvious one, I don't know, for us, it was The Rock.
Yeah.
For him, I think he would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I like, yeah, he's always good in his movies, so
yeah,
I think that would be good.
And even like Chris Hemsworth too.
Yeah,
like I think just someone who's just like really strong and muscular and has like Chris has that like really like kind of low like that Australian voice where he just sounds like really cool.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see him play like the God of Thunder and then like the God of Lightning.
Yeah.
And then one character that I thought that makes sense to me would be John Goodman. Only for the reason is that for the longest time I thought John Goodman was the actor who voiced Zeus.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, John Goodman's a company man. Like he's doing Roseanne, he's doing Monsters Inc. and he's doing all these different Disney, or ABC owned properties, and he's like, yeah, he did Zeus too. And then we're like, no, he doesn't do Zeus. It's not him at all. I'm like, it sounds like John Goodman.
Yeah.
It definitely sounds like him. So I think John Goodman would actually be a pretty good role. I mean, I know he's a little bit older, so maybe it's not him per se. But yeah, I think that would be really, really cool.
Yeah. All right. And so going with from Zeus, we go to his wife Hera.
Yeah. I don't know
you
about you.
Thought of this.
I thought of this one. I think this would be a really, really cool way to like sneak in some of like the original cast. I think Susan Egan would make a perfect Hera. These, obviously it's Herc's mom and dad, like they're ancient gods that have been around for forever. So like if it's a actor or actress that's a little bit older, which is why I kind of thought John Goodman would be good in this role too. But I think Susan Egan, she was the original voice of Meg in the movies, and I think this would just be like a really unique way to get her into the movie. And then like if somewhere we have like Hera just being like, it's been a slice.
Oh, that would be fun.
So I do think that I think that she would do really, really well in that role. So,
yeah,
but I don't really have anyone else for her because I don't think Hera really had a big role in it by any means.
No. So yeah, and I guess I'm not really sure who else I would.
I think I saw somewhere like it was like someone had mentioned like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh.
So it makes sense of like it was John Goodman and Michelle Pfeiffer. They're a little bit, older of actors.
Yeah.
But I think like when you look at Zeus, like. I don't picture John Goodman right away.
No, like I picture like The Rock.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like I think that would probably be a better choice, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what they come up with.
Yeah. All right. So that finally brings us to our last casting, which would be the Muses.
Oh my gosh. Like the stars of the show. No, but they're gonna play a really big part, and I think they need some big names here.
Yeah, and I don't think that we have like we haven't solidified like the final 5, but we just kind of come up with a few different characters that we think would, or a few different actors or actresses or singers that would do really, really well in this role.
Yeah. So I guess my number one, like you have to, like there's no question, Lizzo.
Yeah.
Lizzo has to be a Muse. Like.
Like everything about her just makes sense.
Yes.
I think she like one of the Muses like is like the embodiment of Lizzo.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, for sure. So if she doesn't play a Muse, I don't know. Hopefully everything lines up right, and they're getting on the phone with her. So.
Right. And then we had mentioned her initially earlier with for playing Meg, but if she doesn't play Meg, I think Ariana Grande would also be another kind of obvious choice.
Yeah, I think she would be a good choice.
She's got the voice. She already has sung Hercules music. So like we know that she's really, really good at it. And it's a no-brainer for me too. So if she doesn't play Meg, like she has to be a Muse.
Yeah. And then one that you thought of.
Yeah. Throw this one out there. Billy Porter.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like he was the best part of that newer version of the Cinderella like remake.
And that movie was not that great.
Yeah, it was not great. So like the 5 minutes that he got in that movie as the fairy godmother,
like that was the brightest the brightest part of that movie here. And which is weird because it also had Idina Menzel in that movie, and Billy Porter like just outshined that entire cast, and it was just a shame that he was not in that movie longer than like the 3, 4, 5 minutes that he was. So I think having Billy Porter like being even like the lead Muse, like it would be phenomenal casting.
Yes, please. Okay, and then another person that we thought would be really good would be Jennifer Hudson,
which I think that's another safe bet. A lot of people have said that, and but you came up with 2 other really good choices that I thought worked perfectly in this situation.
Channeling the Hamilton love here. So we have 2. Renee Elise Goldsberry, I think would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jasmine Cephas Jones
and Peggy.
and Peggy. Yes, please.
Yes, they just have like that really like soulful like sexual playfulness that they can bring to the role. We love seeing Renee Elise Goldsberry in She-Hulk right now. It's really fun to see her there. It would just really make sense to get her into that lineup. And Jasmine Cephas Jones just would work phenomenally. Like her as like Maria, or as a Muse would just be fantastic.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
And then one that I thought about a little bit later on would be Keke Palmer.
Yeah, I think she would be good.
She's been on Broadway before. She's very funny.
Yeah.
She's hilarious, and I think that if they were kind of going for like really like amping like the Muses to be funny, or they really kind of wrap up the comedy in it, like
and I think there needs to be like a good mix. So I think if they have like like a funny person, like like or a couple funny, couple serious, Billy Porter keeping them all in line.
Yep. So like I could see like Lizzo, Billy Porter, Jennifer Hudson, like Renee Elise Goldsberry and Keke Palmer.
Yeah.
Like that being like the 5, like I'd be okay with that. I know there's a lot of other like fan castings. I've seen like Cynthia Erivo in there, and then just like I don't think that we need someone like I think we need like a little bit more like fun, energetic energy in there, and like nothing against her, but Cynthia Erivo just doesn't really like give that to me.
Another one that I've seen that I guess I wouldn't be mad about, but it wouldn't be my top choice, but Beyonce.
Yeah, I hear that
a lot, and I'm like, I don't know. There's more people I would pick over her.
And I don't think that Disney would do that just because she was in The Lion King. And she was so big in Lion King, which is another reason why I didn't pick when we were in Pain and Panic. I didn't bring up like Billy Eichner. He's hilarious. I think that he would do really, really well as Panic. But he's already been in the Lion King movie, so I think like Disney would purposely try to pick a different actor or actress to fill these roles. So I don't see. As much as everyone would love Beyonce to be in there, I don't think that she would fit as a Muse.
I don't think so either.
Like Lizzo and Ariana Grande, even Jennifer Hudson fit that role much better than I feel Beyonce would.
Yeah, I agree.
But even if they picked one of
I know.
I mean, to be honest,
let it be Lizzo and Billy Porter.
Yeah, just those 2 would be like whoever you get for the other 3. Like I'm okay with it. I honestly don't care. Like you get Billy Porter and kind of leading them, and Lizzo being like the funny one in the background. Like that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. They're gonna steal the show. Like 100%. They do that.
But yeah, so that's our fan casting for the new Hercules movie. I would assume that we would hear something relatively soon.
Yeah, I would think so too.
You figure they'd have to start filming that pretty quickly here.
Yeah, so
but we'll see what happens on it. We'll see if any of these come true. If it's anything like my predictions for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, hopefully something comes true.
You'll get something.
I'll get something.
A little something.
But yeah, we'll see what happens on that, and we'll be first in line, or well, I shouldn't say the line. No one goes to line to get movie
I
tickets
know.
anymore. We'll get our tickets the first day they drop on Fandango to get our Hercules tickets whenever they're announced.
You're ancient.
Oh, nothing like feeling old this early in the morning when we're recording this podcast.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, I think that's about does it for today's episode of the Dig a Little Deeper. I was super excited for this one. Right off the bat.
Yeah, like, well, just because this movie means so much to you. So I guess, like, do you have any like final thoughts? Like, anything about the movie or?
I just say, like, if you find yourself kind of down, like, it's okay to talk about it. Go out and seek help. Just do something about it. Don't try to keep it in, because I be the first one to tell you that sucks. I did it for like almost 2 years, and it was kind of rough when it came out at the end. So talk to people about it. And in this case, like, I have you. And I have tools to help me, but I also had this movie that I could fall back on to use as kind of like a coping mechanism, or I could use as some sort of like a security blanket. And I really enjoy that. And so if you have like that type of movie or that type of TV show that is your like comfort show, like, that's okay. Like, don't make anyone like make you feel bad for that.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of times, like, people will be like, "Oh, you're watching that show again?" Like, "Oh, you're watching it. You've already watched that TV series like 10 times already." Like,
or like you just finished it,
or you just
like,
you're
just
watching
it again. Like, there's no shame in that. Yeah.
Like, that's what like comfort movies are. Like, you just throw them on, you just feel comfortable, or the TV shows, you just watch them, and because you just feel comfort in them, you feel familiarity with them, and that's okay. And that's what they're meant for. And there shouldn't be any shame in that. I feel like I don't see a whole lot of that, but every once in a while I'll see like those comments like, "Oh, you're watching that again?" Or like, like, even like with us going to Disney, like, "Oh, you're going to Disney again?" And like, it's like, we need that. Like, we were just walking through Costco the other day, and we were talking about going to Disney, and I'm just like, "Oh, I have to go to Disney because I have to, manage like all of the other crap in my world that like I had to deal with, and like going to a job I don't like always like sometimes, and you're dealing with things that I don't like to deal with sometimes. Like, I need like this Disney trip, and like it's not therapy, but it's kind of close enough to it. It's a very expensive form of alternative therapy that we've chosen to go through, and I like it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and I guess just like I think our main message and point with doing Hercules as a dig a little deeper episode, I think, was to tie in like comfort movies, mental health, and like the struggles that everyone faces, because obviously there's not a lot of like I don't know, like, theories and stuff to talk about like with this movie. It's just a really good, wholesome, feel good movie, and I think we really wanted to just more hit on the comfort movie and like the mental health aspects, just because this does mean so much to you.
To me.
So and I hope that like whoever's listening, like, I hope you like that's the biggest takeaway from this, and that it's okay to like talk it out, and I hope that like you have like somebody in your life that you can do that, because I know like we have each other, and as much as we talk and communicate, like sometimes that's not always enough, and and I think that's what you found out, like you needed a little bit more help, and going to therapy, seeing a counselor, and
it's a-okay.
Yeah, it's okay to do that, and like and you should do that, like if you feel that you need to, like it's okay, and yeah, so I hope that's like the biggest takeaway like from this episode. And yeah, so like our dig a little deeper episodes, like they're maybe
it got real deep today.
Yeah, so it got real deep, and but I think that's okay, and I think this I think using this platform that we've created is something that we want to do, like we want to get that message out there.
And even if one person listens and takes away something of it, and be like, yeah, like I should go watch that movie that makes me feel good again, or I should go listen to that music that makes me feel good again, or like maybe I should, reach out and talk to somebody. Even if like one person does that, like that it's worth it.
Yeah.
And even if like, even in the end, like just me being able to like be a little bit more open with it, because like, I mean, I am very open with you about like everything. And it's just sometimes difficult to bring that conversation out into the real world. And this is a really weird juxtaposition to be in, where like I'm bringing it out to the real world for anyone who wants to listen.
Yeah.
So like one person can listen, 10 people can listen, or a million people can listen. And,
yeah.
As long as I guess one person, can find some comfort in what we were saying today, I think that's really worth it in the end.
Yeah, I agree. So.
But yeah, I think that is going to do it for today's episode of Dig a Little Deeper.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have any suggestions on any other movies that you'd like us to do a Dig a Little Deeper on, feel free to let us know. We do have a couple ideas going forward here, but I think this is still, we're going to try keeping this a monthly series. I really enjoy this one, and it just gives us another opportunity to watch a movie that we really enjoy. So yeah.
I don't know. So we talked about a lot today, and I guess just let us know your thoughts. Like, do you have comfort movies that you like to watch, or shows?
What's your favorite Hercules song to work out to?
Yeah. And then, the casting on Hercules, like what are your thoughts on those? Do you agree with us? Do you have some different ideas?
Who else do you want to see Billy Porter be amused with?
Right.
Thanks again for listening. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us. We really appreciate all that support and love. But for this week's episode of Dig a Little Deeper, I am Tyler.
I'm Sammy.
And it's been magical.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Team Unicorn Podcast. You can find us on all major podcast platforms as well as YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, like, and review wherever you are listening, and follow us on Instagram to keep up with all things Team Unicorn. And remember, stay magical.